Hi guys, 18DAP here and welcome to this match preview for this Saturday's League 2 fixture. It's Doncaster Rovers versus Hartlepool United. Let's get the video started. So guys, welcome to this match preview, Doncaster Rovers versus Hartlepool United at the Eco Power Stadium this Saturday in League 2. If you're an existing subscriber, thank you so much for sticking with the channel and supporting it. It's greatly appreciated. It doesn't go amiss, that's for sure. And if this video has brought you to the channel, please consider clicking subscribe so you don't miss the match day vlog tomorrow. If you are new to the channel and this is the first video that you've seen, this is a format that we go through match previews. We'll look at previous meetings between the two clubs, we'll look at current form across all competitions. I choose a Doncaster Rovers player just to say a few words about. I also give my opinion on the one to watch for Hartlepool United, but as I always say, you know your club much better than what I do, so please in the comments down below let us know who we should be watching out for in tomorrow's fixture. And then we finish the video off with three predictions: the Predictor Team lineup thanks to FanHub, the Predictions League table, what me and the family do, there's an update on that, and then the all important score prediction at the very end. So without further ado, let's get into previous meetings. Rovers and Hartlepool faced off quite a few times, 102 times in total in our history. It's been fairly even, Rovers winning 38, Hartlepool winning 36, and we've shared the spoils on 28 occasions. But we drill down into the more recent 5 fixtures and it's fairly even there too. You look back to the 2012-13 season in League 1, it was a 1-1 draw, and then the Rovers came out 2-1 victors in the return fixture at home. And then we jumped to the 2016-17 season, the last time Rovers were in League 2 and we got promoted at the first time of asking that time. I don't think it will happen this time. But we won 2-1 at home, so potentially a home fixture is hopefully a win based on this. But we went up to Hartlepool on the final day of the season and we came third in a 2-horse race after getting beat 2-1. And unfortunately Hartlepool went down out of the league on that occasion. Even though they did win, we thought they'd escaped the drop, but unfortunately they hadn't. And then earlier this season, it's not a happy hunting ground up there for the Rovers. It was another 2-1 defeat in October of last year, so hopefully we can return the favour tomorrow and get a 2-1 win ourselves. But yeah, about as even as you're going to get, so it's a tough one to call in this one. On to current form as well, it shows a fairly tough one to call because we're both pretty poor. Rovers coming into this one on the back of 2 straight defeats, but before that we had 2 wins on the bounce and then a defeat just before that as well. Hartlepool on the other hand, they've got 1 win sandwiched between 2 defeats either side, so 2 defeats, win, 2 defeats, so it's not set up for a classic, this one, is it? On to the Rovers. Personally, I feel our window was poor, very poor. We've got rid of 2 big earners and experienced players in Kyle Noyle and Adam Clayton and replaced with loanees with little or no experience at this level. The exception being Charlie Lakin, who's had plenty of games in the EFL. I think he's close to 100 games. But yeah, the replacements for me have not really made me sit up and take note, and it's frustrating as a fan to see the business that we've done this January. 4 loans come in. We've got Todd Miller from Brighton, Ben Nelson from Leicester, James Brown from Blackburn and Charlie Lakin from Burton, and then 1 permanent, Caelan Lavery from Scunthorpe. So 5 players coming in. Yeah, I think we needed 5 players coming in, but I don't think we needed to lose anybody. We needed bodies in for sure, but Danny seems to think that they're going to add something to the club, and I want to reserve judgment on the players themselves until I've seen them. But I feel the board should have backed him a lot more, especially with the target being promotion, but I can't see it. Positive news coming out of Doncaster though, after a deflating window and a horrid result at Mansfield, was that they're trying to plan more friendlies to get the reserves and the fringe players and the under-18s up to speed, and I think that's what we need to do as a club. We've not got an under-21s or an under-23s part of the academy, so I think that bridge between under-18s and the first team isn't done as well, whereas I think getting regular friendlies against teams and allowing the under-18s to come in alongside experienced pros who are coming back from injury or whatever it is. I think that's a really good idea and a good thing to do. And on Tuesday, we played a behind closed doors friendly against Bolton, where we won 3-1. Charlie Lakin got 2 of the goals, and youngster Jack Goodman got the 3rd. So a positive result. Shame nobody was there to see it, but that it is what it is. As I said earlier, the target was promotion for the Rovers, and at the minute it feels miles away. I hope the new recruits do improve us. I hope Schofield is correct in what he says. I hope they've done the research on them and they are players that suit his style and fit what he's wanting to do. But proof is in the pudding. We will see. But we just need to get that consistency. We're still only 5 points away from the playoffs game in hand. Stranger things have happened, but if we make playoffs, I really don't think we deserve it because we've been very inconsistent and very poor at times this season. On to Hartlepool. Keith Curler's looked to strengthen his squad much more than what the Rovers did in a push to survive the drop into non-league. 11 additions coming in January, but for me, probably the best bit of business for Hartlepool was keeping hold of Josh Umera. Fantastic goal scoring record at Hartlepool at the minute. They've added bodies. I'm not sure if they've added enough quality, but time will tell on that one. A little bit like the Rovers with the loanees, time will tell. You've got to give them the chance and the opportunity to show what they can do. But for me, on paper, I don't think they've added that much quality. It's more quantity that they've added this January. The pressure's still on Josh Umera to get the goals. There wasn't really a striker brought in with a goal scoring pedigree. Plenty of options in midfield, but yeah, I think they're putting a lot of pressure on Josh to get the goals to keep them up this season. I think this could be a really good time to play Hartlepool though, as they've not had a great deal of time to integrate the new players into the squad, so there might be a little bit of a gelling, bedding in period that we capitalise on tomorrow. Fingers crossed. But points desperately needed for Hartlepool as they sit in 22nd, 1 point away from the drop. So like I say, it's a tough one to call, and I think it's going to be a very difficult game to manoeuvre tomorrow. On to player profile for the Rovers, I've gone with Ben Nelson in this one of our additions in January. 18 years old, centre back. This one doesn't really make sense to me. We've got Bobby Faulkner, who's the same age. We feel as fans that he's got bags of ability and potential. I'd sooner see a homegrown talent put in there and developed rather than somebody else's player. But Schofield says that he has the abilities to fit into the squad. But yeah, he played his first half of the season at Rochdale. 13 games under his belt at this level. But he is highly thought of at Leicester and he's represented England at youth level. So he's clearly got something about him. I think for Rovers fans though, we just want to see our own players developed and given opportunities rather than taking other teams' players and developing them for them and getting very little in return come the end of the season, because it won't be our player, and hopefully we will have progressed him and helped him develop in his career, but it doesn't really add anything to us moving forward. So I think the forward planning and the future planning is the frustration for Rovers fans, but we will see if Ben is what Danny says is all about and improves the defence, because it is much needed at the minute. On to the opponent's one to watch, and I think you'll guess who I'm going to go with in this one. I've already mentioned his name a few times. It is Josh Umera, 25 years old, centre forward, 32 appearances this season with 13 goals. He is way out in front as the top goal scorer at Hartlepool, 1 assist as well. But he is a big, strong striker. He's going to cause defences at this level and probably a level above huge problems. So strong and just difficult to keep a hold of. So yeah, definitely, in my opinion, the one to watch for Hartlepool tomorrow. But as I say, you know your club much better than what I do. So in the comments down below, if there's any other players who we should be looking out for in tomorrow's fixture. But for me, keep him quiet, and I think we'll get the 3 points. Onto the Predictor Team lineup. So this is a little bit of a contentious subject at the minute. Danny Schofield has got a clear setup, a clear philosophy, a clear strategy. 5 at the back, 2 in midfield, 2 a little bit further forward, and then George Miller up top on his own. For me, Defensively we're poor, even with 5 at the back we're conceding. I'd much rather see us sacrifice a defender and put them up front, and well, put a striker up front, not the defender, but sacrifice that position and have 2 up front to support Miller. Like I say, the 5 at the back isn't preventing goals from being scored, so I'd sooner see 4 at the back, 4 in midfield and 2 up front. So because of that, I am putting my preferred team lineup on. I will probably change this to try and get 11 out of 11 on FanHub. If you've not downloaded the app, go ahead and do so. It's a decent app with plenty of features to get your team stuck into. So Predictor Team lineup, or my preferred team lineup for this one, I'd like to see Mitchell in goal. It needs to stop getting lobbed, but yeah, Mitchell in goal. A back 4 of James Brown, Tom Anderson, Roshan Williams and James Maxwell. I think probably a little too early for Olawu to come in, but I think he'd walk into that team when fully fit. Midfield 4 of Molyneux, Ben Close, Harrison Biggins and Todd Miller on the left. Hurst had a really good game, but I just don't want him to burn out. That's my worry. I think Molyneux needs to pick up. He's been poor this season, under delivered on the expectation that we had, I think. And what a game it would be for him to get his first goal in a Rovers shirt. And then up front, George Miller and Caelan Lavery. I think Miller needs the support for sure. But yeah, that's my preferred team lineup. I think it'll be 5-4-1 come kickoff though. Moving on to the predictions league table. So if you're new to this, me and the family predict the scoreline for every single league game. If we get it spot on, we get 3 points. If we get the outcome of the game right but not the scoreline, we get 1 point. If we get completely wrong, we get no points. And there was confidence in the majority of the family. Chris, Dad and Max all went with wins against Mansfield. I was the only one who went with a defeat. I didn't go with a heavy 4-1 defeat though. I went with a 2 or 3-1 from memory. So that gives me 1 point. I'm finally on double figures. It's not one that I really wanted though. I'd have sooner got a point or 3, but it is what it is. I've always predicted with my head and not my heart. So on to double figures, still bottom on 10 points though. Dad just above me on 3rd on 11 points, and Chris and Max pulling away a little bit on 16 and 18 points. So we will see how that table shapes up as the season comes into its final stages. And that takes me on to my score prediction. As I've said, I think it's going to be a tough one to navigate. Hartlepool fighting for points. We're very inconsistent, so yeah, tough one to call, and I think it's going to be a tough game tomorrow, but I'm hoping that we've got enough to edge this one. It's frustrating that I'm saying edge this one with what came out about wanting to bounce back decisively and what have you. We should be going into games like this where Hartlepool are struggling and being confident of a victory, but I'm really not. But I'm going to back the lads at home. I think if we go 1-0 down, it could get very, very toxic, and I think that'll be the team talk, to be fair, for Hartlepool. Hit us hard, hit us quick, and get that 1 goal and shut up shop, and the fans will be against not so much the team, but more the regime. But we will see. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. I'm going with a 2-1 win for the Rovers. And that's where I'm going to leave this one. If you've enjoyed it, please stick a big thumbs up. Comments in the section down below. If you are going to the game tomorrow and you're a Hartlepool fan and you want to be in the fans fought section of the matchday vlog, hit me up in the comments down below and we'll sort out meeting down at the ground. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. And all that's left for me to say is thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.